Heyo everyone, and welcome to a manga review. And today we're reviewing the manga series My Life as a Villainess. Now this is one of those mangas that started off as a light novel. I don't know if that means that I'm cheating by considering this a manga review, but for the sake of making this video, let's say that it counts. I figured now would be a good time to review it since season 1 has wrapped up. And during the run of the first season of My Life as a Villainess, I noticed a lot of YouTubers recommending it. A lot of people seem to be very much enjoying it, so I figured, why don't I give my input? So I'm fully caught up with the manga series, not caught up with the light novel. So of course, if you have read the light novel, you are way ahead of everybody else. It seems to be this new thing that a lot of light novels are being picked up for manga series and then being picked up for anime. And I think if you're a writer in Japan who's just never learned how to draw manga, doing a light novel series and just hiring an artist to do the cover for you is usually a good way to try to get your story out there and hopefully get your foot in the door. This particular story is an isekai that involves a girl who has died yet again from a truck. It seems like every single isekai, like everyone just dies from a truck. Get out of the street! What are you doing? So this teenage girl who passed away is reincarnated in a dating sim that she used to play. And she's reincarnated as the villain, or more specifically, the rival character who only has bad endings in the original game. She either gets exiled or executed. So obviously she doesn't want the same fate to befall her, but she's given an opportunity that she's not given in the game because she's given back her memories of her previous life while she's still a child. So she has all of her childhood to basically prepare for the future that happens in this dating sim game. Now, if you are watching the anime, I gotta warn you, those few episodes with the dub, oof! First few episodes are just focused on her being a child and only children interacting with each other. And man, something about dub voices, trying to do a kid's voice, it's just, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Now, because of Katarina's efforts to make sure that she does not have the same ending as the character in the game, she actually ends up making every character in the dating sim fall in love with her. Even the playable character who's supposed to be romancing the people in the dating sim, even that character falls in love with her. That's right, you've been bamboozled. You thought you were watching an isekai? You were actually watching a harem! And of course, like a lot of harems, she is completely oblivious to the fact that everyone likes her, because she doesn't even consider that being possible, because she's still thinking of herself as the villainous character, even though she has basically eradicated all chance of people seeing her as a villain. So most of the jokes play off of that, just this idea of everyone being in love with her and her just not knowing at all. And it is really funny for a while, but I think after a certain amount of time, the joke will get a little bit dull, especially if you're binge reading or binge watching. Especially if you're binge watching, actually, because I think the anime has a good bit of filler in there where they really capitalize on the harem aspects. The fact that this is a harem, though, makes me really weary about this as a series. I don't trust harems. They normally don't have a good ending, or just straight up have no conclusion at all. To this day, I still will never forgive School Rumble for that ending. It has scarred me. Now, there could be an ironic ending, you know, with the idea that maybe by making it so that everyone has fallen in love with her, she actually ends up triggering a doom flag just for the opposite reason. Instead of everyone hating her and triggering a doom flag, everyone loves her and that triggers a doom flag. Although it would be very bittersweet to have this anime end by Katarina actually dying or being exiled or whatever, especially when she's put in all this work to make sure that it doesn't happen. I think a much more reasonable ending would probably be if, like, one by one, the people who are in love with her find somebody else or move on from her, and it just narrows it down to fewer and fewer people until she ends up with whoever she's supposed to end up with. If she's supposed to end up with anyone. She certainly has no indication of people that she likes in her harem. And her actual fiance in the story, she's terrified of him because she knows of his behavior from the game, and she knows, oh man, this guy's is really cold-hearted, and there's an ending where he actually kills Katarina, so she's scared of him. Out of everyone in the harem, she's scared of the one that she's actually going to be marrying, which I almost wonder if that's a sign that she'll actually end up with him. You know, like they purposely made her scared of this one guy to trick the audience into not seeing him as even an option. I mean, to be honest, I don't actually consider any of the women in the harem an option. I think that they're just red herrings put there for comedy purposes, because I see that in anime very often where they'll just put like gay guy who is in love with the main character even though the main character is straight, because they find that very comedic, especially if the main character is really oblivious to the gay character liking them. So I see all of the women as basically just being those types of characters. I'm sorry if you guys are shipping them, I'm sorry. That's just how I'm kind of viewing it. There are other things in the show besides the harem comedy that's pretty good though. I actually like the show a lot better when it focuses on other things besides the harem comedy. Mostly just because after a while the joke gets pretty dull, so you want to move on to something else. Okay, we get it. Everyone's in love with her. That was really funny like 4 chapters ago. What else is there? And there's this one villain character who has a really interesting and pretty dark backstory that you get introduced to later on. And it really took me by shock that that type of character was even in this show. So I'm kind of thinking in the future maybe we'll get more moments like those where like there's something a little different that comes into play. Where I am right now in the series, the game is basically over. So Katarina has no predictions at all for what could possibly be in the future anymore. The part of the game that she played, that might be over, but she still has her whole life ahead of her. So there's a lot of potential for other things to come into play for this series. I mean, magic exists in this world, although it's hardly ever used. Maybe it will be used more. Maybe there's something else. Only the future can tell. I will say though, I did enjoy reading this series. I really enjoyed it when I first started. I just thought, man, that's kind of a unique take on an isekai, that you get reincarnated as the villain of a game, and not even a really powerful villain, but a super weak villain who always has a bad ending, either getting exiled or killed. So you have to find a way to make sure that you can change the story and make sure that you have a happy ending. And I think that's really interesting. I even thought the harem comedy was funny. The problem is, you know, there's only so much of it I can take. If you keep on telling the same joke, it just gets old. But I would recommend this manga to anyone who is interested. I think it's pretty well done, and I am excited to see what's next and how they wrap this whole thing up. If they wrap it up, like I've said before, I don't trust harems. If you've read this manga or even seen the series or read the light novel, tell me what you think and comment down below in the comment section. That's what it's there for. Remember to like the video as usual, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Program restart.